Welcome back to another episode of the Curriculum. Today, we'll be introducing you to 5 emerging Asian designers that we've been keeping our eyes on. This video is part of a 2-part series where we'll be introducing emerging Asian designers to you, starting with womenswear today. We think all of these designers are creating really special designs alongside some incredible narratives and inspirations, and we're really excited to share them with you. So without further ado, let's get into the video. The first brand we're going to cover today is J.Kim. J.Kim was a brand started in 2014 by J.Kim, a Korean designer who was born in Tashkent, Uzbekistan into a Soviet Korean family. Her background is incredibly multicultural, and she references historical background with contemporary womenswear design in a brand that thinks about both reality and imagination. The biggest inspiration for J.Kim is definitely Jenya's personal cultural heritage between Uzbekistan and Korea. Jenya references different parts of both of these cultures throughout all of her collections, from traditional dresses to architecture to local lifestyles. The key motifs of J.Kim include local handicraft, especially Uzbek artisans, vintage fabrics, tugun, which is bundle in Uzbek, and Korean bold prints and embroideries. To show how J.Kim's motifs and references play into the clothing, here is a look from their Spring/Summer 23 collection that really ties all of this together. This look features a beige puffer jacket and wide black cropped pants. Breaking down this look, it really embodies Jenya's background as it references her multicultural background. The most noticeable motif in Jenya's work is the tugun, which is the Uzbek bundles, which we see all over this look. There's also this idea of Korean prints emerging from below the bundle ties, which directly comments on this idea of having multiple cultural identities. The ties on the puffer jacket and the pants really remind me of Korean artist Kim Sooja's work. Kim Sooja uses Korean bundles called butari in her work. These bundles were used for different household items used to make a start in another place. There's this imagery of migration, which is something deeply tied to Kim Sooja's work. These ideas that have inspired Kim Sooja's work seems to align really strongly with J.Kim's family background, and appears to be a strong reference to the shape of the ties here. What's interesting about using these bundle ties on the clothing is now the person becomes what is being transported. I think this idea is incredibly interesting because we transport our culture and identity wherever we go. It's something that belongs to us and we take with us everywhere. Overall, it's the last idea that makes J.Kim's brand so special. The references and inspiration behind the brand are incredibly personal to Jenya. She's taking Uzbek artisans and Korean prints and combining it within contemporary womenswear. But the message itself is something that's incredibly relatable, because in this globalized society, all of us come from different backgrounds and cultures. And so when we're putting on J.Kim's clothes, these are the things that we're representing and taking around with us as we wear the clothes around. The next brand I want to talk about is Marrknull, a brand recently nominated for the LVMH Semi-Finalist Prize in 2023. Marrknull is a brand from China founded by Tim Shi and Mark Wang. The brand itself is known for their experimental cuts, different forms, and futurism within their clothing. All of this in juxtaposition with Chinese culture. From pop culture to fabric techniques, Marrknull really thinks about the clashes that exist within contemporary China. For some background, Tim Shi and Mark Wang met while studying university in China. When it comes to fashion design, Tim's architecture background allows him to focus on the structure and forms that go into clothing, while Mark thinks about the fabrics, the detailing, and the brand's visual language. As their main reference, Marrknull comments on the changing political and social environment within contemporary China, about this clash between old and new ideologies. One aspect of this clash that Marrknull often tackles is gender boundaries within fashion and society. The designers have come out and said that contemporary fashion is more about an expression on the individual self and should not be confined to redundant gender roles. These gender roles are challenged through the brand's use of conceptual tailoring techniques to create a modern Chinese expression. The idea is to blend many different eras and regional characteristics of China to create a sense of conflict that exists within contemporary Chinese culture. However, Marrknull isn't just limited to thinking about the traditional cultures. The brand also deconstructs and reinterprets contemporary cultures that China has accumulated in the process of development. All in all, Marrknull seems to be finding a way to interpret the chaotic collision that's happened during China's development, and we can see this during their look in Spring/Summer 21. This collection was inspired by Chinese martial art films from the 90s. For the collection presentation, the brand uses a dismal forest backdrop and the elements of hanging wires that were commonly used in these martial art films for stunts and fight scenes. Here, Marrknull explores the current state of the collision between conservative past and modern technology of Chinese rural towns. The reason why the wire is retained in the video is to show the real side behind special effects of science and technology to create a sense of exposed reality. In a way, this look seems to satirize the relationship between China and innovation and technology. These elements can be seen in this look, where there is a clear clash between what the model is wearing on the inside and the outside. Here, there's an element of dishevelment, chaos, where some of the clothes seems to be really rashly put on the model, a potential comment towards the fast technological gentrification of Chinese cities. These clashes of chaos can be seen throughout the collection, where the clothes don't seem fully on the right way, all while the models are being suspended in this fake reality through the references to these highly idealized Chinese martial art films. Overall, Marrknull's direct commentary on Chinese society feels incredibly personal to me. But all of this is also masterfully executed from a technique and tailoring standpoint. Throughout their clothing, Marrknull is using these techniques to create all these effects of chaos through these collages and ruffles and shapes within the clothing. And so what we have is a combination between meaningful and technically strong design, and we're excited to see what Marrknull has in their future. The next brand we're talking about is J.Tai, a brand that truly challenges the status quo in fashion, and it's just absolutely flat out fascinating. The brand was founded by Jian Tai, who graduated from the London College of Fashion and Royal College of Art. Through a combination of Western techniques and Chinese cultural influences, J.Tai fundamentally changes the design process and the way we consumers interact with this clothing. The main motif of J.Tai as a brand is using a modular system they call the algorithmic modular system. This system uses a numbering method. 1 is comprised of base layers, 10 and 100 components, and 1000 the extra details. What this system allows for is a customization of J.Tai's clothing, which really creates an open dialogue between the designer and the wearer. The numbering system itself also draws reference from Taoist literature. From the 42nd chapter, it reads, Tao breeds 1, 1 breeds 2, 2 breeds 3, and 3 breeds everything. In this ancient philosophy, Lao Tzu is explaining how everything is formed, from nothing to one and one to many. The algorithmic modular system follows the same ideology. From one system breeds infinite possibilities. Being able to customize all aspects of the product, from the foundation to the sides to the extra details, really changes the way the brand interacts with their consumers. This system also appears to draw inspiration from model kit toys and the idea of uniforms in general. Uniforms also appear to be a big part of J.Tai's design language, as they commonly reference 80s Chinese blue-collar workers in their reference photos. The idea that uniforms are such a core part of J.Tai's design language, while allowing this level of customization within their clothing, is inherently a little paradoxical. But that's exactly what makes their clothing so interesting. There's an element of individuality within conformity, systematic formations that allow for this erratic and personal expression. If we look at the J.Tai website, the entire buying experience has also changed, as you can buy presets and also components, and with each individual component, you can also create your own garment. Here's a look from J.Tai's Fall 21 that shows all of these elements put together. This look features a crimson-colored tailored shirt and a beige-colored skirt. The shirt foundation is combined with 3 components, 1 side panel and 2 sleeves, with one of them being white. And the skirt has 3 separate components, with an extra component being the red braided accessory. Overall, this look shows the flexibility and capability behind the J.Tai modular system. It really encapsulates the paradox of erratic expression within a rigid system. And on paper, while each component appears to be stiff and rigid, when combined, they look incredibly relaxed and sit beautifully on the model. The colors create such a strong contrast in the shirt, and they add a level of depth alongside the wide and exaggerated sleeves that can be buttoned to create even more shapes and levels within the garment. Overall, J Tai presents us with something new and different. It's a system that's paradoxical in nature and entirely changes up the way the designer and the wearer interacts, and we are so excited to see more from this brand. Next up is Hankim, a Korean designer who graduated from Central St. Martin's with a degree in womenswear and print, and then the Royal College of Art with a degree in womenswear. Hankim debuted his namesake brand during Paris Fashion Week in 2020. His brand is known for reinterpreting the ideals of beauty through experimental colors, graphics, and strange details. The most common motifs within Hankim's work are geometric patterns and tailoring. He seems to apply these motifs through different lenses, such as family, playful imagination, and childhood innocence. It is clear that Hankim is interested in how the patterns and fabrics change as the wearer shifts and moves around. Another element within Hankim's work is color theory, the use of contrasting colors to make these colors appear more vibrant. It is the chaos between shapes, prints, and their color palette that creates a harmony within the entire collection. It's dynamic, and as the wearer moves, everything shifts. It is important to note that Hankim is not just a fashion designer, but also a multidisciplinary artist. Working with multiple mediums, such as pottery, allows Hankim to think about fashion design from different perspectives. We can see this in the way he manipulates color, like an artist, through the use of color theory, while thinking about silhouettes from the perspective of a potter, using these 3D shapes and silhouettes as opposed to thinking about the two-dimension. This is a photo that I want to use to highlight Hankim's work, and I've taken it out of the lookbook to really show the brand's personality and play on these different themes. The look is from Spring/Summer 23, and the shot features the models stationed in front of a TV, where the imagery of family is being alluded. On the technical side, we see Kim's background in tailoring and graphics come in. There are geometric fabrics with vibrant colors that are present on most of the garments, while there's a draping effect that's created on the white dress in the far right. Contrasting colors are used to bring out the shapes within the fabric, while 3D shapes are used to bring out additional dimensions on the fabric when they're devoid of color. Some pieces in the collection are subtle, with small details and changes in materiality, while other garments combine both geometric prints and rigorous tailoring techniques that create these 3D shapes and maximalist garments. It almost feels like colors are used to bring out a garment when the silhouette is more tame, while shapes and the silhouette are used on fabrics with more muted colors. The collection itself is called Habits, and given the way that Hankim tackles different themes, it makes me think about the mundane interactions, daily habits, and other things that we fall into within family life. Like these geometric prints, our habits can look very rigid and inflexible when they're static. However, Hankim seems to be acknowledging the fact that life is different from day to day, and these habits can be incredibly dynamic, just like the geometric prints under different scenarios. Another interpretation about the collection could be the way that we seem to suppress our personalities when we're around our family. I see this in the emotionless facial expression we see in the models, yet they're all wearing really elaborate garments that could be representative of their true personality. Overall, these are just interpretations of the collection, but it doesn't change the fact that Hankim plays with imagination, inner personality, and innocence within his collections. Hankim manages to execute these themes in such an imaginative and playful manner, and it's a really exciting break from what we traditionally see within the industry. Last but not least, we'll be covering Peng Tai, a designer that graduated in 2017 from the London College of Fashion in womenswear. After graduating in womenswear, Peng Tai then decided to take on a master's in menswear because he really wanted to learn how to relate to the clothing himself. Although Peng Tai finished his master's in menswear, he ended up starting a womenswear label first after tailoring a set of clothes for his girlfriend. This interpersonal relationship between the wearer and the clothing is drilled deep within Peng Tai's design language, especially this idea of fabric and its change throughout time. One core aspect of Peng Tai's design language is nature itself, but specifically the overlooked details that people often miss. Elements such as fallen leaves, soil, branches, and flowers have become core references for the brand. Over the last 5 seasons, the brand has focused on 5 identified elements: metal, wood, fire, water, and earth to create their collections. Throughout these collections, Peng Tai has been innovating their design motifs from season to season to fit these elemental themes. Motifs that are core to Peng Tai's design language include expert tailoring that create beautiful silhouettes, the fabric choice, and the various traditional and natural dyeing techniques and prints that make up the amazing details and colors that we can see on his clothing. Throughout each of these elemental collections, Peng Tai as a brand does so much more than just change the color scheme. To show how Peng Tai has interpreted these different elements and innovated on existing brand motifs, I've pulled looks from 2 different collections. In the water collection, Peng Tai uses more sheer fabrics, ruffles, and linear pleats to describe the many different forms that water can take on when it's still, flowing, being disrupted, or being contained within different spaces. In the fire collection, Peng Tai uses different dyeing techniques and details to describe the fire before, during, and after a flame has engulfed a certain surface or object. The shape of the flame itself is seen within these cuff details, while the beauty of the charred surface after a fire can be seen within the dyes. It's amazing to see how Peng Tai as a brand has developed all these intricate details that fit the theme for every single season. Using this side-by-side comparison, we can see how these collections differ, yet they're both incorporating the motifs that make Peng Tai's clothing so beautiful and so special. Overall, Peng Tai is a brand of beautiful construction, tailoring, silhouettes, and details. Within their looks, we can also see this element of fantastic layering between these different colors, shapes, and fabrics. From season to season, they've innovated these motifs and details to fit another aspect of the human experience in relation to nature. Personally, I love it when a brand has these really solid design motifs that get innovated from season to season. It shows the versatility of the team's design language while being able to consistently innovate it and make it interesting every single season. Thank you so much if you made it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed, please don't forget to leave a like and a comment, and subscribe if you don't want to miss any of our future videos. This has been a Curriculum episode, part of Komune's content platform, dedicated to showcase and promote thoughtful fashion design. We hope you enjoyed. Until next time, from us to you, please take care.